Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to a brand new vehicle for the Ashes of the Empire campaign. This is the Abaddon Super Heavy Tank, and is going to be replacing the old version of the Angron as a front lines, very heavily fortified, sort of tanky vehicle, honestly. This was created during an 8-hour recording session I've ended up completely scrapping because even by my standards it was a very dull and very disjointed video. So to sum it all up, I went into the recording session with the basic idea of creating an evil version of the Scarab from the Steel Empire. So yes, that is why this looks heavily influenced by the Scarab, because, well, it is. And honestly, after a while I realised I was actually building something pretty good, so I started deviating from that path, and this is what I ended up with. A Lathrixian version of the Scarab, which can deal with rough terrain fairly well for a true tank, has a really nasty 500mm cannon, and has a load of armour and shields. Now of course, sadly, I do have to deal with the odd bit of damage going over incredibly rough terrain, but that's what I'm working on right now. The two things which are needed to finish off this craft are simply fine-tuning the detection system and making sure things like that happen a little bit less. I really don't want to use rubber, but it seems like that may be the best idea. Honestly, if the terrain is similar to this, I'm not really going to take all that much damage on this vehicle, but since it is heavy armor almost everywhere, any damage is incredibly expensive. The shields fully surrounding it are also between strength 5 and strength 7, depending on the shield, meaning this is easily my most fortified vehicle I have ever created in this campaign. It takes a lot of damage to even get through the outer hull, and then it has several layers of heavy armor all around. It has space armor. It's very heavily fortified. Even the bloodletters take 45-ish seconds to get through and do any real damage. And they are a little bit insane in terms of being a complete offensive vehicle. And now I fell off, of course I have. And I am back on. So, like I was saying, it has very strong shields, very strong armor, and it even goes between 30 and 40 meters per second, which is very fast for such a heavy tank. It has 2 steam engines which are currently powering it, and because it uses energy, it uses battery power, it can of course take battery power from its teammates if I were to make the shields even stronger. So I am really happy with this vehicle. Easily one of the first tanks I'm looking at and thinking, this was made well, and of course it had to be a vehicle which was inspired by something else, because Lathrix has no originality and such. Either way, I'm going to get back into the campaign. This is going to go against the White Flyers, and I do apologise if this ends up being a short-ish video. Like I say, I just finished recording for 8 hours and scrapping pretty much everything because apparently today wasn't my day. Lots of technical issues, lots of me changing my mind about how I wanted the video to go. It just wasn't overly pleasant. And I am almost completely sideways right now. Perhaps I'll do one quick test of the gun before we get into the campaign again. Of course, when I say we're going to quickly test the turret, what I actually mean is we're going to test the tank's capability to take high amounts of punishment from enemies which we are purposefully trying to counter. So we're going to test out our lovely Abaddon tank against 4 Reapers. The Reapers are from the Steel Empire. They are very large helicopters with very nasty high-velocity advanced cannons and a lot of infrared missiles. If we can survive against 4 of these, then the Abaddon is perfect as a front row tank, even if the weapon would need to be changed. Like I say, the weapon is probably the weakest part of the tank at the moment, so I will be changing it quite a bit as time goes on. I'm sort of tempted to get the Bloodletter and literally add half of its cannon into the Abaddon, because that would probably work very well. Anyway, 1, 2, and then we'll put the rest to the west so they don't hit each other. 3, 4. Make sure this goes off so it doesn't fight back, and begin when ready. Flares are down, and it worked against a lot of the missiles. Ooh, that's a really bad angle. Okay, most of the missiles were deflected thanks to the flares, so well done to the flares. Also, I should get off this so I'm not naturally healing, turn off healing as well, but just to make sure I don't end up being killed by the tank itself. So many shells being deflected. So the shells that the Reapers use are simply armor-penetrating shells. Not much damage to them, but they do ignore a lot of armor value. Thankfully, heavy armor is much higher than the AP they actually possess. Because to be honest, trying to go for the AP required to do 100% damage versus heavy armor can be a little bit insane unless you're going for higher gauge weaponry. The barrel got destroyed, which honestly was sadly quite expected. The sides are fine, the back was fine, a few shells getting through there, which I'm not overly happy with. That is one of the strength 5 shields, and I'm thinking that one should be upgraded to strength 7. Most of the missiles being distracted. Ooh, okay, a big volley there hitting the side. Did it pierce through? No, it didn't. The auto-healing doing really well. I believe the Abaddon has somewhere in the region of 25. Ooh. Has 25 repair bot sections, so it should be able to heal itself very, very quickly as long as it has the material available. After another 6 minutes of allowing the Reapers to attack the stationary Abaddon, it seems like the Abaddon was simply never going to be destroyed. So now we've restarted the Sandbox mode because the game was getting incredibly laggy, and we're going to have a very quick battle with the Abaddon versus something else. After that, we're going to go into the campaign and spawn a couple of these in to fight against the White Flayers. So maybe a member of the White Flayers would be the best idea. I think we should fight against the Ravager. They actually seem quite difficult to kill. They have decent armor, decent shielding, and a rather decent cram cannon. So with all of that decency, let's get into the fight with it. And a victory for the Abaddon. That did take a few too many shots, but considering this one is quite densely packed with armor and with shields, it really wasn't too bad. We could have a quick fight against the bison as well. Oh dear god, that is bad. Hi bison! Oh no, we're about to be hit by cram cannons. Or maybe not. Fear the wrath of high explosives! So these shells we're using currently are pretty general purpose. They do decently against shields, though not amazingly, and they do very well against heavy armor and regular armor, as you could see there. So they're going to be pretty good against enemies like the Chaos, and pretty mediocre, decent against enemies like the Beholder, which use a lot of shields. Either way though, I am fairly happy with this weapon, considering the very limited hull space the Abaddon actually has. Abaddon. The name is Abaddon. So here we are in the campaign, and I'm going to be spawning in 2 of the Abaddons. As soon as they're spawned in, they will join the rest of the group in defending against the south against the White Flayers. At the moment, the Northern Protectors seem to be doing absolutely fine against the Onyx Watch, so I don't really need to reinforce that, at least for the time being. At long last, the very first true battle using the Abaddon heavy tank, and I've got to say, it's been a long time. Now, to you, watching this video, it doesn't seem like it's been that long since I've introduced the Abaddon and now we're using it, but this is like 2 days of footage being wasted and too boring, and finally, I actually get to do something with the main goal of that footage, so I'm very happy nonetheless, even though against us is a Chaos and a Beholder. It was our fault for going on the aggressive, but I figured that if we don't start taking tiles soon, we are going to be overwhelmed. So even if we do lose, I'm not going to hold it against the Abaddon, because honestly, we probably will lose this. The Beholder has amazing shields and amazing armor, so it probably won't be too heavily countered by the shells of the Abaddon, which are very general purpose, which do okay against shields, since they do detonate upon impact with the shields, but they don't bypass it in the same way as the Bloodletter, and the Bloodletter always seems to be focused down by the White Flayers. If the Bloodletter can survive and do some damage, we might be okay. Otherwise, we're probably going to lose. Let's move these over to here and actually face them towards the target. Like that. Okay, let's begin. So here we are, the Chaos at the front, and the Beholder oddly in the air. I'm assuming it's going to land okay, but I'm really hoping that maybe it takes a little bit of damage. It's unfair, but I would like to win this. Everything once again focusing on the Bloodletter. Oh, all of the shells from the Abaddon are going towards the Beholder. Did they all just miss? No, just lag on the explosions. We couldn't see what's happening. As you can see, with the amount of shields, even though some damage is going through, a lot of it is simply getting stuck on the outside, because explosions are actually capped at only 10 meters. So we're only just about scarring the outside. Hard to see what's going on. Sadly, it is both raining and foggy, so I do have to look very closely at the enemy to see what's actually happening. The missiles from the Krull are also coming in towards the Beholder. Here they are from both sides. I'm assuming the Bloodletter's been killed, honestly. They were all focusing on it. I think that's a fairly safe assumption. Fantastic shot there by the Abaddon. The main weapon of the Beholder has been taken out. It's not dead though, is it? No, it's just kind of sitting there. The Chaos is after one of the Abaddon. One of the Abaddons? I don't know how to make that plural. One of the Abaddon tanks. There we go. Stop focusing on the Beholder. I know you're meant to go after the biggest first, but look! There's something right behind you, which is very scary. I have also set it to like things close by. There we are. One hit. That's it. Break off its melee weapon. You can do it. Most of the front was just removed from the Chaos. Yeah, I need to rework these shells. Just make them more specific. But considering how little hull space is actually going into the weapon, I am still very happy with it. Huge explosions, and the Chaos has lost most of its propulsion. I can no longer hear its engines. That Chaos is so difficult to destroy. Kill it! Kill it, please! The flares are helping out a lot, though. The flares are completely negating the Chaos's missiles. Oh, hello, we're about to ram into the Beholder. 2 damaged. Good. Don't actually. Abaddon, stop. Abaddon, please stop. No. I mean, I could try to capture it, but the AI... This is weird. The camera just did that by itself. Let's go back to the battle, thank you. I could try to capture it, but the AI is still very much intact. So, where even is the Beholder's AI? If it's somewhere easy to get to... Okay, I'm going to try. I don't think I'll be able to make it, but I will try my best. Excuse me, Abaddon. Come on! Is it mine? I don't know. I don't think I did it. No, it must have more than one AI. That's a shame. Oh well. Lots of resource for me. Let's get back onto the Abaddon. Hello, buddy. The surprising thing is, the Abaddon is very quick, which means it was actually outmaneuvering the Chaos. Here it is, the Chaos being peppered with shells, the Abaddons which were being focused on simply survived, and missiles from the Krull helping to finish off the enemy. I wish I could have seen more of that battle, but I couldn't see a thing, because they still don't let you turn off weather in the actual campaigns. Okay, so, initial thoughts then. In terms of movement, in terms of focusing on which enemy, and in terms of its defense, the Abaddon is perfect. And I mean that, I know I'm the one who made it, so it sounds a bit silly saying it, but it did everything I wanted it to do. It focused on the largest first until the chaos was too close for comfort, then it swapped targets. That's how the target prioritization of the Abaddon is set up. Big first, closest only becoming first when they're within about 400-500 meters, depending on their size. If they're very small, it will still ignore it because, well, the shells are very expensive and very slow firing. Not really worth it to waste on a smaller target. The only thing I wasn't happy with was the shells. The detection system actually worked better than most detection systems I've made before, so happy with that. The shells were okay, but they needed more penetration with shields, but to do that we would have to change them to fragment, or perhaps make them weaker, or do something similar to that. We could make them heat or hesh shells, but then that would weaken their initial explosive burst, and thus make them even worse against shields. Speaking is hard, and let's see if the white flyers will attack us in revenge. How much did we get in resource? Not that much, though by the looks of things we did get our money back. No, we actually got... Oh no, we did lose the bloodletter. Yeah, we got about the same money back, perhaps a little bit less. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Let's go back to defend, though. At least this group will be good at defending. The bloodletter... Why do the enemies keep on focusing on the bloodletter first? I think I'm going to need to add shields to the bloodletter, which I don't really want to do, because that requires bigger, more expensive engines. And then the bloodletter becomes expensive, and then why do I even use it? Maybe I should make an Abaddon variant with a minigun. I was feeling pretty good after that last battle, messing around with different shell types, and two things have now occurred to me. The first, which is a more sad occurrence, is that there's so many strength 100 white flyers in our way. Even after how well that last battle went, we are going to have to seriously fight so hard to actually get to the white flyers' resource zone and to their end location. The second thing is to do with the shell type, and it's something I'm not going to do, but it is something which would be very effective. If I simply swapped out the 500mm shells for the same shell type as the bloodletters, but bigger, that would probably be our best shell at the moment. In fact, during the video which was removed, which I keep on referencing, that's actually what we did, and the only reason why I didn't end up going with it is because it was boring. We're already using those shells with the bloodletters, we're using them for the cultist, I don't want to use them on the Angron as well. But essentially, the 500mm version of the cultist and the bloodletter shell, when it hit a shield, it would then release over 600 fragments. Just for reference, the bloodletter shells only release around about 30 or 40, so it's as if almost 20 shells were hitting the exact same location. Needless to say, even heavy armor got absolutely shredded, but that's a bit too boring. I don't always want to end up using fragments, even if at the moment it does seem like the best shell type in a limited volume sort of scenario. Just a bit of food for thought. And so we move into the last battle of the day, and once again, it's us being on the offensive. At long last, the Lathrixian Legion is being aggressive. Because, you know, it was never aggressive before with the other factions. We're normally the good guys. You can trust us and our evil red glowing vehicles. So against us, we have... Okay, apparently I said this wrong last time. It's that word. We have the Bombard, we have the Bombard. Do we have... No, we have a Bison, and one of those. So quite a few different types of enemies there. Let's put the bloodletters nice and near the front. We'll move the Krull over there. Ignore the fact they were in air mode quite a lot today. Sadly, there is a bug which has started to happen recently, and it's been happening so much, in which my vehicles spawn in the ground. And the only way I've noticed to fix that is to either be a hovercraft, or spawn them in before a battle in air mode. It's very, very odd. Let's put the Shriven near the middle at the front. We don't really care too much if that dies. Put this at the back. And this at the back as well. I keep forgetting this group has 3 Krulls, which actually makes the Krull now our most used tank. That is so weird considering its origins. Either way, begin the battle. And let's see what the enemy has in store for us.
Yes?
I'm particularly interested in what the Bombard is going to be like. With a name like that, and being part of the Onyx Watch, it has to be something interesting. So I'm going to assume the one there with the huge cannon is the Bombard. Yep, definitely that one. Oh look, they've made it so it looks like one giant gun. That's actually really smart. Go you. So this is definitely the Bombard, am I right? Yes, it is. So one huge, I'm going to assume 1,400 millimeter cannon, something like that. Either way, it made me stammer, so it clearly must be good. Oh, and look, little missiles hanging from things. Aww. Oh. Oh dear. Well, that's something. Shriven, stop being mean to them. They're already having a really bad time. They're merging and causing some serious lag. Incoming the shells from the bloodletters pretty much everywhere, trying to figure out where this thing is going to go. I'm waiting for the Bombard's main cannon to fire, then we will follow it. I love those bloodletter shells so much. The Shriven doing a pretty good job of softening up the enemies, and the frame rate is going down to 3 because of these two spawning in with each other. Okay, are we okay now? Has any of the Bombard's main cannons fired yet? Also, missiles coming in from the back, looking like stars. The Bloodletter has been hurt at some stage, and I wasn't focusing on it. It's lost one of its front... No, it's lost 3 of its front thrusters, thus causing it to tip backwards so horribly. Oh, I think that was the main shell. And they're all going for the Bloodletter. Why is the Bloodletter always the main target? Oh, a shell right in the front. A missile as well, then another shell. That Bloodletter is down for the count. One of the Bloodletters has been destroyed. The Shriven getting far too close. The other Bloodletter still bullying the two, which were apparently merging at the start. The Shriven just isn't good enough. I don't think lasers are going to be good enough in this campaign, because I've checked over the laser, I've looked over at several forum threads in terms of the ratio of components, I've made sure it's a very powerful laser, and it's just being... Ow. It's just being massively outdone by both advanced cannons and missiles. I think even cram cannon would probably be a better alternative than the lasers. The only good thing with the laser is it's instant hitting, so as soon as the battle starts, the Shriven is hitting a target. Oh, look at that. Like stars in the night sky. Stars filled with horribly, horribly explosive fragments. As demonstrated there. So there's the Shriven hitting the back, and as you can see, it's not weak, it's melting through metal, but it's not strong enough, even in pulse mode. I don't think it's good enough anymore. Oh, the Shriven in the way of those missiles! Actually surviving. Okay then. Is that a Bloodletter over there being attacked? Yet other Bloodletter was damaged by, I think, a missile? Oh, is that going to hit? No, but the missile will. Again, the thrusters being too vulnerable. The Bloodletter is a great vehicle, but I think it needs to be looked at. It is cheap, and it is meant to be a glass cannon, but after seeing the Angron, and seeing that particularly... Ooh. Sorry, the Abaddon rather, and seeing that particularly in the Sandbox mode and during tests, I think a more balanced way of building would be better. Also swarm missiles. At some stage I do want swarm missiles, especially with the new graphic for them. Just look at the fire behind it and the smoke when they first launch. It looks so cool. Just slowly doing some surgery there, are you, buddy? It's just not good enough. Oh, the Bloodletter coming back online briefly! I think it might be hitting itself, though, with its cannon. It does have a failsafe, but I think it's lost some of its barrels, so it's just not accurate enough, so some of the shells are hitting itself. I still find it weird that the Krull is our most used vehicle. It's just such a good support vehicle. Only 14,000 resource, has a really nasty volley to it, and can hold all of the material for the group. Oh, just hitting the side. So, that was that. We now have yet another piece of territory back from the Onyx Watch. Let's repair you all and send you back. I think one of my major problems is that I am hypercritical of the performance of my designs, even though, in terms of resource, we were outnumbered just then almost 2 to 1, and it was a resounding victory, seeing flaws in the fact that the Shriven's laser isn't powerful enough to take out components quickly, and the fact that the Bloodletter is vulnerable, just completely consumed my mind, even though the Bloodletter's cannon were just ripping apart the enemies. Even the Onyx watch, which used metal and then more metal and then some additional metal, even though the shells are then also designed to counter shields, they were still killing the Onyx watch and doing it exceedingly well. But despite all of that, the Bloodletters are quite vulnerable, therefore they are terrible, therefore I need to do some more work. The same with the Abaddon. The Abaddon was doing exceedingly well, except for the fact the shells weren't doing as much damage as I would hope, even though they crippled the Chaos and killed multiple other enemies before doing this, and even though they don't counter shields well, they were damaging the Beholder. I think I need to start looking at my designs in a more balanced way, and just looking at the victories, because then we can start building things which are more balanced, more fun, and ultimately will do better in more situations. So with that, thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. At some point, we're going to have swarm missiles, and we're going to have more true tanks. That is the plan, that is the goal, and next time, we are murdering loads more groups of the enemy, after apparently defending against the White Flyers.